I didn't say it. The book said it. That if you love your child, you're going to discipline them. So for those of you that are really seeking the truth and doing it right and making certain that your kids are obedient, listen to this. How many of you remember the switch, the strap, the belt, or even the hand when it came to discipline? Now, I know there's lots of stigma about that today, even though this practice has been going on since the beginning of man. So why is it in today's time, when we've seen more kids having mass shootings and killings and disobedient than we've ever had before? Have you ever gone to a ball game and you've seen a certain kid out there just using profanity and behaving in such a way it has no respect? Matter of fact, very disrespectful to all the adults that are around him. I would say the most important point in disciplining a child is during the childhood stage. We're talking about from the ages of 2 to 9. And because that's when a lot of things are developing. That's when they're developing social skills and other feelings are coming about. And that's the time when they understand more so right from wrong, or you better make certain they understand right from wrong. So how do we go about it? How many of you had to go to the school quite often because your kid cut up in class or just being disrespectful to others? And I think I can help with that. Now, what I'm going to say is not going to be pleasing to all, but for those of you that agrees with what I'm talking about, this is for you. Because I know that for many, a lot of kids, you want to put them in timeout, it doesn't work. You need other methods. And you can go to a lot of therapists, counselors, PhDs, psychiatrists, and everybody else, and they'll give you textbook language. But I'm giving you real, life-lived and experienced language that I think many of you understand, but too often, many of us is telling us what we should not do anymore. And then you wonder, why is it that our country is such out of whack? Parents, what I also want you to realize is that you are your child's role model. So what your child sees and how you behave, including your temperament with anger and so forth, your kid can mimic that and often do. So you are their role model. So keep that in mind when it comes to disciplining a child. And if you have to use corporal punishment, physical force, or whatever involving a child, try and not do it out of anger. And most importantly, explain to them, if you go that route, why you are doing what you're doing. Mom and dad, remember, you're the authority figure. Don't ask your child to do something. You tell them. Because they're not on the same equal playing field like you're asking your friend to do something. You're the parent. You're the authority figure, and you tell them. And of course, if they refuse or disobey, then there has to be consequences. But the thing is, what type of consequences, you may ask? Well, taking away privileges, that's the most common one. And of course, there is time out, but there is also physical, corporal punishment. And how often should any of this be done? As often as needed. Matter of fact, my mother was the most consistent person I knew. And when we as kids screwed up and done something wrong, and if she was at work, she would always tell us, wait till I get home. And it's not funny, but she were consistent in her approach 100% of the time. No hit and miss, 100% of the time. When my mom got home, you can count it, rest assured, we were getting a spanking. Then again, let's say we were getting a whipping, okay? And she was 100% consistent in that. Throughout the years when we were kids, she never wavered from it. And that's why I guess you can say all her kids were obedient and disciplined kids. And we didn't go out and cause a muck when we were out in public, no matter where we were. And we were not perfect like all people. None of us are perfect. And if you find someone say they are, they're lying. Not one human being on this planet is perfect. But it's something that we do strive for. Now, for those of you that, go to church, or you believe in God. And, what does the ancient book say about disciplining a child? Now, keep in mind, this is something that's been printed for at least a couple thousand years. And now we've gotten so away from it, and to a point people are almost afraid to even want to discipline their children today when it comes to corporal punishment. But have you ever noticed in the wildlife, when you see other animals, how do they discipline their cubs, their, puppies and so forth? They growl at them. They bite them. There's going to be some form of little pain maybe, to get their attention. So we're animals too, aren't we? For thousands of years since the existence of man, how have man disciplined? It was through physical contact. Now, of course, words are powerful too. Some kids, not everybody, you have to do the same way. But the thing about it is, folks, you have to start early. That is the key. Start early. The moment that child is able to start talking and walking and talking, that is the time to make certain that they understand, obeying their parents and authority is all about. And if they fail to get out of line, me personally, now I'm not a lawyer, and the thing is, I'm not telling you to go do this, because how people administer things can be different as to how maybe it should be done. Because when you do things out of anger, we have a tendency to go overboard. We apply even more force. But if you do things when they're a little young, 2-3 years old, coming up and so forth, and being consistent with it, all you have to do then, and a lot of guys, you know this because your parents have done it, just give them that look. And when they get that look, what happens then? We know we better get back in line. And by doing it early, you get programmed in a sense. So don't wait. Don't wait. Don't let the child walk around and do stupid and bad, disobedient things, and then you look at it as a cute thing, because it's not. Because it will manifest itself. It would show itself when they become teenagers and beyond. Well, listen to this. And here's something that the ancient book talks about in developing obedient kids. Now, like I said, all of you, everybody's not going to agree with this, but I know a lot of people are. So for those of you that are really seeking the truth and doing it right and making certain that your kids are obedient, listen to this. In Proverbs 1:8, it says, "My child, listen when your father corrects you. Don't neglect your mother's instructions." Right then and there is telling you, the child, to listen to the father that when they're corrected. And also it talks about, don't you neglect your mother as well from her instructions. Telling us as kids, but telling the parents. And as kids grows older, because of what we put in them earlier, it'll stay. Listen to this, Proverbs 13:24. "Whosoever spares the rod hates their children, but the one who loves their children is careful to discipline them." I didn't say it. The book said it. That if you love your child, you're going to discipline them. Don't wait till they get too old where they won't listen to you and start talking back. Listen to this right here. Proverbs 22:6, it says, "Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it." We know when you become young adults and you get older and get out on your own, we have a tendency to run wild a little bit, don't we? I did, okay? And, but the thing about it is, it's telling us that if you bring them up early in the way, in the Word of God, you don't have to worry about it. What you instill in them then is still in them. And it'll never leave them. Listen to this, Proverbs 22:6. It says, "Direct your children onto the right path, and when they are older, they will not leave it." Oh, and that comes from the NLT. The first one was the King James Version, "Train up a child in the way he should go." Now, Proverbs 22:15, it says, "Foolishness is bound in the heart of a child, but the rod of correction shall drive it far from him." Woo, foolishness is bound up in the child. We're living in a world of sin, and foolishness is bound up in all of us. But the rod of correction will drive it far from him. And the thing about it is, what is that rod of correction? We're not talking about a metal object or whatever. It can, how many of us grew up, we had a switch, or there was a belt, or there was a fly swatter, who knows what else came along with that. But the thing about it is, once they got out of line, don't let the tears fool you, stop you from doing what we're supposed to do. But we always want to go back and let our children know how much we love them and explain to them why they had to be disciplined, so they'll have an understanding. Don't leave it to chance so they thinking they know. Make certain that they understand and know. Then we look at Proverbs 23:13 and 14. It says, don't fail to discipline your children. Hear that, parent? It said, this is a word from the book, from the word of God. Don't fail to discipline your children. Don't you fail to discipline your children. The rod of punishment won't kill them. The rod of punishment, correction, won't kill them. Physical discipline may well save them from death. I'm sweating a little bit in the car here. Don't fail to discipline your children. The rod of punishment won't kill them. Physical discipline may save them from death. And another version of this, in Proverbs 23:13-14, it says, withhold not correction from the child, for if thou beatest him with the rod, he shall not die. Thou shalt beat him with the rod, and shall deliver his soul from hell. So, there you have it, America. We must discipline our children, and it must be done early on. As soon as they're able to start walking and understanding. And from what I'm looking at here, beginning about the age of 2. Every child's different. Some kids are more advanced than others, but still you must start disciplining early. Do show love to your child. Let your child feel your hugs. Let the child feel those kisses, because they are important too. They make a difference in that child's growth and development. But most importantly, discipline the child. And we're not talking about when words don't work. Yeah, we've got to talk. We have to apply words. That's part of discipline too. But also remember too, when you're disciplining, are you using profanity towards that child? If you are using profanity, that shows then that you're upset, you're mad, and that's not a good time to necessarily beat the child because bad things happen, don't they? Parents find themselves up on child abuse. But in the state of Oklahoma, in Oklahoma State Title 10A, so many people get afraid and talking about, well, I'm afraid to whip my child. DHS or Child Protective Services may get called on me. I know in the state of Oklahoma, there's a section in Title 10A, Oklahoma State statute, where it talks about parent can apply physical punishment upon the child. But there's a right way of doing it too. This Robert Wilkins, aka Basketball Tall. Stay with me. Stick with me. Press that subscribe button if you haven't already, and go with me on this journey, because what I provide to you is a journey about life. And thank you for staying with me on this journey. And if you are new to this channel, welcome. And I hope that you press the subscribe and like button, and that way any new broadcasts that are uploaded on this channel, you'll be instantly notified of it. And you don't want to miss that, because you just never know what I might be talking about. But what I am going to talk about is it's going to improve someone's life. It's to also look at those local stars right in our community that have gained tremendous knowledge, have done great things in their communities, and they're superstars, and we have a tendency to overlook these people and their stories and their path and how whatever they achieved and got to where they are, they can help you. Or maybe help your child, because knowledge is power, isn't it? It's on how we apply it. So I want to thank you for tuning in, and make certain, share this information. It serves no purpose. It doesn't even help me at all if I can make the greatest video in the world that can solve the world's problems if you never share it. So are you one of those holding on to this and thinking it's just beneficial to you only? No. Share it. Let other people now know what you know, and see if it might be some benefit for them as well. But remember, the most important thing about this whole message that I just laid out for you is consistency in your discipline. Now, maybe if we would have brought them up a different way in how we did things might have turned out different. But we didn't have any problems with that kid. And I thank God for that, because we did apply the consistent discipline method early on. And once you get in early, folks, you don't have to worry about it. It's in them. It's there. But get them in while they're a child. And don't wait when they become adolescents and then try to gain control, because it's a strong uphill battle and it's hard to correct. And now you have a solution to a problem. Apply it. Thank you. Stay tuned. See you next time.